Welcome along to episode 4 of No Silver Linings. I'm the keeper, Mark. Glad to have you back along as we plunge our investigators furthermore into this mystery. I will do a quick recap before we introduce our investigators on the case. After getting the briefing of the mysterious murder of Jack Sullivan, his brother, Cahill, has hired the investigators to look into the matter, as the person that has been apprehended for the crime is not all as guilty as Cahill believes. Now, as the course of the investigation unfolded, the investigators have found that the local constabulary are more than unhelpful in relinquishing any information on the case. In fact, one of the investigators, Ulick O'Shea, is known to the law in the area. Not by, not too notorious, but a little bit maybe of someone of interest, let's say, to the local constabulary. But they would be very not forthcoming with information. As Benson and Ulick were with the police, we had our professor and Mr. Mitchell investigating the library, where they found the mysterious person that had been on their trail all morning, a reporter for the local newspaper, willing to trade information, but they decided against it and let their own investigation turn up the results. Later that evening, they returned to the Silvermines village, where they stayed in Jack Sullivan's house, and they had a look around. Ulick managed to stumble across a loose floorboard in Jack's room, where he discovered a ledger that had a little bit of information on the mining operations happening back in 1917, and a couple of names, 10 names to be exact, and 4 of them circled. He also found a brass key for which he hasn't used yet. Very late into the night, Ulick and the professor make their way back to Ulick's house, as the number of beds in Jack's didn't really accommodate all of the investigative party. Benson and Charlie remained. Charlie retired for the evening after perusing through the books. Cahill himself spending the night in the master bedroom with the Sullivan household, and Benson taking the downstairs bedroom. Before going to sleep, he made a few precautions. He kind of put a bit of dirt at the doorway and cans along the sills of the wall, just, to stop any, or just to be safe, as it were. But in the dead of night, before closing his eyes, going to sleep, he saw a shadowy figure outside the window. It stopped for a moment, maybe considering something before moving on again. The last thing Benson heard before drifting off into a sleep were the heavy footsteps of someone or something walking down the street of the Silvermines. Lastly, then, a little earlier in that evening, Charlie found himself gazing upon the mountain range, the Silvermines Mountains, as the near full moon beamed down onto the village. He seemed to be the only person that heard a voice that said, "Release me." So, before we continue on into the investigation, let's introduce our players today. First up, we'll have Dave.
Hey, hi. I am Dave, DM for the Software Saga over on the Emerald Collective Twitch channel and Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. And today I will be playing Ulick O'Shea. Ulick is an ex-World War I fighter back, who's sustained some damage, both physically and mentally and emotionally, and but has also seen some weird shit, which is quite obviously all at the hands of the púca, who he has a very, very intense fascination with. So Ulick is he's very, very fond of the drink and has a bit of a reputation around the town. So therefore, some of the things he's seen are not really taken too seriously when he speaks about them.
Very good. And next up then we have Ryan.
Hi guys, I'm Ryan, aka Deranged Rhino, as you probably all know by now. And tonight or today, I am playing Professor Montgomery Miles. I am a scholar and a poet, and I like to work out what people have in their minds.
Very good. Thank you, sir. And then next up we have Keith.
Hello, my name is Keith, and I will be in control of Charlie Mitchell, local landowner and farm owner, antiquarian, interest in the occult, and heard a little thing or two about this strange goings on down the Silvermines. So I came down and had a look, and we seem to be finding some sort of interesting things. So looking forward to seeing if this is something exciting or just another small town, unusual situation.
Right you are. And lastly then we have Dean.
Hello, I am Dean, or Dino Bags, a randomer they found on the bus last week. I am playing Vincent Cartwright. He hails from Washington, D.C. and likes to get his hands dirty when it comes to anything occultish, anything strange, and he just wants to shake the tree and see what falls loose.
Excellent. And with our band of investigators, let's begin and bring the curtain up on the story where we left it off last time. Before we reach morning time, however, as Charlie and Benson stayed the night in Jack Sullivan's house, Ulick and Professor Montgomery Miles are heading back to Ulick's homestead, which is about, I believe he said 2 miles outside the village.
About 2 miles, yeah. He's stumbled and sort of fallen the entire way home several times. If you've ever seen that, sometimes that kid in the neighborhood who just always seems to be walking around like they're just sort of off balance, that's him. Sort of leaning forward. He'll just kind of arrive home in a kind of a long run at 3 a.m. after he's been booted out of the pub. So yeah, it's a journey he's made with his eyes closed many times.
And you may as well have your eyes closed on a night like tonight, because there's heavy tree coverage along that road, and even though the moon is well lit, there are many areas along the road that are just completely pitch black. Montgomery, you probably kind of have an arm out to kind of feel your way every now and again in those patches when it gets particularly dark, but when you do see Ulick a little clearly, you can see that he's just kind of he has that kind of forward march going on that never falters. He knows where he's going for sure. And yeah, look, it's 2 miles. It takes you a little bit to get back. It's a very chilly night, and kind of halfway through you kind of get that little bit of it's a drizzle of rain, but it's that icy cold kind of rain that when it gets down the back of your neck you just can't help but shudder. But you're well equipped to deal with the cold, given your coats and presumably hats. But it takes a little bit of time, but you reach this kind of small cottage 2 miles outside the village, and there's a little thatched roof on it, and kind of fine stone wall, gate slightly open, and there's kind of a little part of the wall towards the side of the house where it's kind of like collapsed in, hasn't been rebuilt or tended to in quite some time, but you have reached Ulick O'Shea's house.
In my interest of trying to work out Ulick's kind of mental stability after the things that he's been saying about, and being a fan of psychology and stuff like that, coming up to this house now.
You remember in episode 1 when Charlie tried to do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to see if there's any obvious signs within around the house. Kind of like dream catchers up along the wall, or little crosses around the place, or anything like that.
I will leave that for Ulick to answer.
We haven't gone in yet, and Ulick will be just on the journey over there. You would sort of lose sight of him and catch sight of him again, but you would always hear him. He's always talking to the púca, and he goes, "It's a cold night tonight, much like the night I saw you first. I'm always looking out for... Mind the stone there. I'm always looking out for you. I'll find you one day, you whore. I'll kill you again. So there's much of that kind of mumbling and grumbling and uttering of oaths and epithets and stuff like that. But when you get to the front of the house, he puts his hand out and sort of grabs your shoulder and he goes, hold on there. Do you hear that? Shh. Do you hear it?
The only thing I hear is you. And the rain hitting us rather coldly.
As it should be. We can go in. We can go in now. And you lead him around the back. Never go in the front door, my gaff. Don't be going in there. You'll die a quick death. I've a rake hooked to the ceiling. It'll swing down with several foot-long nails sticking out of the other rake spikes. It'll catch you in the face. Give you the end of you. Always go around the back door, Ulick O'Shea's house. And he'll bring him around and he goes, I've got to feed me dog. Come in.
Okay. Yes.
Lead him around the back. And it's crunched, it's loose stones that make up this path, and they do very obviously crunch underfoot. And you will probably get the impression that is deliberate. So as we get to the back door, he pulls out a key from his pocket and unlocks it, and then just sort of stops and listens again, kind of lets you in. There's a smell in here of must, and it's not dirty, but it's not clean. It smells old, and it smells lived in. But it smells slept in. He doesn't really spend much of his time during the day in the house. And as he goes in, you hear him going, Madra, where are you? Madra. Oh, there you are. And he pulls out a bit of bacon. He goes over to the top of the fireplace, and you can see a taxidermy dog there, on top of the fireplace. And he leaves some bacon there, and he goes, "Good girl there now, Madra. You've been watching the house." And he kind of just brushes some of the dust off her and put some bacon there in front of her. And he says, "You watch now. When we wake up in the morning, that'll be gone. Gone, I tells you. Good girl."
What makes you so sure it's the dog and not the púca?
He steps into you and sort of puts his hand on your shoulders. "You ever accuse me of feeding the púca, I'll kill you where I stand."
I apologize. I have no qualms about your reading, but
It's grand. I'm only messing with you. Now, go into the kitchen there, third pressing right. I've got a bottle of the hard stuff. It'll put us right to sleep.
Okay. Be nice to warm up a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. They won't be like the fire this late night. Where's the wood?
Yeah, that's fine. The drink will do.
I have a spare pair of jammies if you want them.
A blanket would be nice, but no, jammies is not called for.
You want to sleep in your clothes? Are you?
Well, no, I'll hang my externals to dry.
Right. Go in and get that fucking bottle there now. We'll sit down.
Okay, I'm going to go into the kitchen, into the press to find this drink. I want to kind of have a look, or a nosy around just in the rooms I'm going to, so it's not too obvious, to see whether there's like any other like crazy contraptions or scribbles or markings or anything like that.
He would have you. Well, you can see now that the rake trap is real. It's hung up, and it's a crude contraption, but it's hung from the ceiling, and if you went in the front door, it would. It depending on how high you were, either kind of catching the throat or the eyes. It would not be fun or pretty, but generally, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of crucifixes. Most of them are the right way up, and there's a lot of there's one or two St. Bridget crosses. There's some Stars of David. There's some other bits and bobs, crescent moons and things like that. He's a little bit like Benny from The Mummy. He does have a little sort of a holy symbol for every occasion, hanging around the house. I mean, if there's a diary or anything that you're looking for, it's definitely not out on the table.
Or if there's any like scribblings, you know, what you would consider like madman scribblings of the púca or anything else.
Yeah. There's a lot of drawings of a woman, and there, you know, that just seems to be like, it's not face on, it's kind of side by side. It's like a woman sort of pointing with this like horrified expression, and you can see it looks like she's pointing at a young man carrying a rifle, who seems to be wreathed in this black smoke. And then there's, you know, there's sort of various different scenarios or versions of that image, but that's the most consistent image that you would find, is a woman with a terrified expression staring at a man who's wreathed in dark and black smoke.
Okay. I'll grab the drink. I'm assuming there's a couple of glasses with it.
Yeah, they're filthy, but they're there, yeah.
That's fine. He's had worse. And yeah, he'll bring them in. I managed to find the drink.
Of course you did.
I'll let you do the honors.
Right, so so there's a fire. Even though he said he wouldn't light the fire, you can see now it is absolutely freezing cold. So he's just he's lighting up some kindling, and he's throwing a few logs on and getting the fire going. He does have some sort of kind of wooden clothes horse thing that he's you know, he's throwing the outer garments on. But other than that, it's just two armchairs facing the fire, and there's a table between. And he sits down on the one on the right hand side as you look at the fire, and he just pours it there. And he just sits back and just looks straight into the fire as it's smoking, and it begins to catch. And he doesn't have much talking to him now at this stage.
Ulick, is it okay to call you Ulick?
It's my name.
Okay, just making sure.
But that's what you call me. That lunatic.
Mr. O'Shea.
Down the town. All right. That's a fair question, so.
Tell me, what use do you think that device is going to be at the door? If it is what you indeed say it is being a púca.
Well, no. What do you know of spirits and ghosts? You ever heard of demonic possession?
Strangely enough, I have. It has come across the readings that I've made, yes.
Read a few books myself. I've heard you damage the body catastrophically enough. Spirit leave. So, if there's any possessed young fella comes near my gaff, tell you now, he'll be fair sorry. That demon will be driven out of him quicker than Santi up the chimney.
I dare say his own soul as well.
That's his problem. My gaff's safe. It's the end of that.
Fair enough.
Those cops know better than to be coming knocking on Ulick's house. Spend most of my time in the pub anyway.
Tell me some more about your time during the war.
He'd probably be 2 drinks in now. I'm not sure if you're drinking as well.
I'd be kind of probably supping the first glass you gave me.
Yeah. So yeah, he wouldn't be. No, he's a fierce. He's got a fierce constitution for the drink. But he is kind of in the mood of talking, and he'll kind of, he won't look at you, but he'll say, fought in the Royal Irish Regiment there in World War One. I've seen some shit now. I've seen men Their arms blown off. Keep fighting. I've seen men. Fate is a fiddle. Fall to the demon of fear in the trenches. Shit themselves. And be shot by their commanders for being cowards. The craziest thing, the most terrifying thing I've ever seen, is in the trenches of the Salonika campaign in World War I against the Bulgarians. The Bulgies. We fought between 1915 and 1918. Well, not gonna go into it, but you read the reports. You will see I was found in the trenches. A trench with over 300 men. Just me, the next morning. One of the greatest mysteries of World War I. 299 men missing in the trenches in Bulgaria. Ulick O'Shea, the only one left there. My eyes wide and roaring, my face contorted in terror. They said all I was screaming and screaming about the púca. That's the first time I've ever seen it. By God, I know it won't be the last, because it's coming for me. It's coming for me.
So, the ghosts that are following you follow you since that day?
That's right.
Ah.
I got home to Silvermines. Well, no, they locked me up for a while. An asylum in the north of England. Doctor said I had a deep-seated insanity. I was discharged from the Royal Irish Regiment. I came home. They put me into an insulin coma. Gave me electroconvulsive shock therapy. Fried my arse, basically. Fried my brains. I came home to Silvermines. However, when I got there, my mammy, she took one look at me. She lost her mind, shouting to everyone and anyone who could fucking hear her. That's not my Ulick in there. That's not my son inside that black smoke. Then she fell down, dead of a stroke.
And you attribute this to yourself? You take the blame for this?
I didn't kill her. You know I didn't kill her. There's no black smoke around me except when I'm lighting this fucking fire.
Tell me, have you heard of, it's not exactly a new study, but it's still being looked through. Have you ever heard of the term PTSD?
The Postal Service.
I mean, sometimes it can be just as slow, for sure. It's a post-traumatic stress that it seems you may have picked up from your time in the war.
Well, they said they all but got rid of that now when they hooked me up to the batteries. And they pumped me full of that shite and put me to sleep for weeks on end.
Well, from my readings, sometimes that makes it go away, but sometimes it makes it worse.
Meh.
What does this púca look like?
I won't speak of what I saw in those trenches. I'll tell you something. Doesn't look like the same thing. Changes. Alters its appearance. Sometimes to get what it wants. Sometimes just to terrify you. It'll stir up images from your past. People you thought long dead. It'll talk to you in your mother's voice. It'll talk to you in your father's voice. It's a horrific thing. I hope I never see it again. But I know I'm coming. 299 men taken by that thing in the trenches over one night. I know it wants the 300th man.
Well,
What about you?
I do hope I never get to see it.
I hope so too. There's something going on here in Silvermines, though. You might see something you don't want to see. Sooner than you think. How about you, Professor Monty Miles?
Yes.
What leads you to be poking your nose around things? Fantastical subjects. Places that are deep in mourning.
I mean, that's a rather excellent question. I having studied in the United Kingdom, I heard such tales as the púca and such things, and also of great troubles over here. And I wanted to see for myself. I wanted to research. I wanted to see what the actual happenings was about. You see, because we get some wildly varying papers over there from people here. So I wanted to see for myself exactly what was true and what wasn't.
You ever seen anything with your own eyes there, Professor? Was it all in your books?
I've seen some amount of recreations, will we say?
What do you mean, recreations? Apparitions, is it?
Well, more...
Or kids in costumes on Halloween?
I mean, there's certainly that about, sure. But I've seen documented evidence, not just in books, of the occult and stuff.
You ever seen anything with your own eyes there, Professor? Have you ever seen something you shouldn't have seen? Something that made you doubt whether you'd seen it at all?
No, which is also part of my reason for being here. As a hive of goings-on, this seemed like a good place to go.
Well, I'll tell you now. And he pours out another drink and fills yours up. And he fills these ones up. They're those kind of small half glasses, not like highballs, like mini highballs.
Like tumbler ones.
Yeah, he fills them both up. And he says, well, if you insist on staying around here and digging too deep, I tell you something, we'll drink. We'll drink now. We'll drink to the man you were. Before you saw something you wish you'd never saw. We'll drink to the man. And once you see that stuff, once you pull back that curtain, we'll drink to the man you wish for the rest of your life you could go back to being. Slant you?
Yes, cheers.
And he sinks the glass. He just kind of... If there's any more conversation, it's kind of more yeses and nos.
Well, Monty will kind of drink that drink fairly quickly. And kind of pick himself up as if, in his gentlemanly manner, like, I bid you good night, Ulick. I assume there is a place for me to lay my head.
You would have my bed. And he points to... So there's a kind of one central room where the front door and the back door are. There's a kitchen with a side door, which has been almost completely boarded over. You won't be able to, if there's a fire, you can only get out the back door. You won't be able to get out the side of the kitchen door, because he's boarded that up. But there's a bedroom to the left of the kitchen. So if you can imagine, main room and then like two other rooms on the other side of that.
Okay, yeah, bungalow type. Okay,
yeah. The bed. I mean, the sheets have probably never been washed. But I mean, like, it's a straw stuffed mattress, with a lot of blankets, and you would imagine that there's a pretty heavy rotation that the dirtier ones get moved to the top and so on and so forth. Yeah, crunchy sheets.
He's had worse. Again, he has explored around, so yeah, Monty will get into bed and but he's gonna put his back to the wall, quite tucked in so that he can face outwards into the room for sure.
Okay. There would, Mark, I don't know if he finds it, but there would be a small knife down the side of the bed, and there would be a St. Christopher medal underneath the pillow.
I'd say he wouldn't even be looking. He'd be just kind of tucking himself in to try and get some sleep and stuff.
Very well. and it is indeed the very early hours of the morning when Professor Miles and Ulick finally get their rest. The following morning, Benson, you are woken up by the sound of a knock on the front door of Jack Sullivan's house. By the time you kind of fully wake up, get the cobwebs out of your eyes, you're already hearing heavy footsteps upstairs, which is no doubt those of Cathal Sullivan, now coming down the stairs to answer the door. What would you like to do? He's just about going to answer the door now.
I'm going to get up, keep my shoes off, obviously. Walk over to the door, keep my hand on my holster. He's rolling down his sleeves, and you can see now down his right arm from elbow to wrist. It's all tiny scars, all purposefully in, and they're all synchronized. You know, they're all really purposely put there, like tally charts or something. Rolls that down. I'm going to try to creak the door open, or can I hear through it?
I would invite you to either make a stealth or listen roll, whichever one you're deciding to do.
Right, well, stealth's 40 and listen's 30, so I'm going to mess it all up. Let's go. Headbutt the wall. Do stealth. Why not? Here we go.
So you attempt to creak the door open, but
I might hit no, I don't have a bonus on it, though.
You can spend luck if you like,
That
or
was
you can put
43 out of 40, was it?
43 out of 40. Yes, that's
so I'm
right.
going to take.
So you have to roll under 40 to succeed.
Indeed.
40 or under, right?
So when you do fail a roll, you have two choices. You can spend the required amount of luck. So in this case, you don't need to spend 3 luck, but you're permanently deducting from your luck score 3 points.
I have 53 left.
you can push the roll, which means you can roll again, but if you fail again, the results could be dire.
I'll go with. I'll take a bonus of 3.
Okay.
Well, why did it roll 8? I don't know.
No. No, you just deduct it from your luck. You don't need to roll anything for it.
Okay.
So indeed, luck is on your side. Just as you're opening the door, you can feel that it would probably scrape off the floorboard. So you kind of just hoist the door, like push it upwards as much as you can, put a bit of weight into it, and you open it that way, and it doesn't make a sound. You hear a familiar voice, and it's not that of Cathal Sullivan's. You hear the familiar voice of the Sergeant Henry Fitzgerald, and he is at the door speaking with Mr. Sullivan. So you're not far, like you can hear with the door open perfectly fine. You kind of catch, you kind of miss the first kind of couple of seconds of the conversation, but you hear the two of them talking, and the sergeant says, Mr. Sullivan, I regret to inform you that we can no longer detain or charge Mr. Eugene Grace with the murder of your brother. On what grounds are you releasing this gentleman on, Sergeant? He says, and the sergeant said, well, we got the autopsy results back this morning, first thing, and it is apparent that it was not, in fact, a gunshot wound that has killed your brother. He died of poisoning. Poisoning by silver nitrate, apparently. I don't know what that means, but it was not a gunshot that killed your brother. It was poisoning. Somebody poisoned him, but the peculiar thing, even more, that the autopsy results give a general time of death. And according to poison and the decomposition of the body, I'm afraid your brother has been dead for about 10 weeks. How the body ended up where it was, and it does not corroborate with Mr. Eugene Grace's testimony that he was attacked by Mr. Sullivan. Clearly he is not. He's maybe the stress that has taken his toll on his mind. He's remembering things differently, but we will be investigating this matter further, so I'll keep you informed. Mr. Grace will be discharged from our custody later this afternoon. As I say, we'll be looking into this matter more, and I bid you a good day. And you see Cahill kind of just trying to like manifest a question. He's kind of stumbling over his words. He's like, but hang on. And the sergeant just says, this is an awful lot to process. Take your time. You can reach out to us at any time, and we can discuss this further.
Just as soon as he finishes that, Benson's going to let the door just slide open, just crouch open just to show him and let the light hit him. I have my back against the wall so you can see the holster. And I'm writing in a small notepad, just mimicking like how the sergeant mimicked me.
And you see the sergeant immediately as he sees you, he just kind of stiffens, and he says,
I'm going to, just before he says that, I'm going to walk over and close the door and say to Cal, let's get some tea. That'll be all, Sergeant. And close the door.
Okay. Yeah, and you can see him, just as Cahill was like trying to, like stumbling over his words, trying to get something out, you can just see the sergeant like trying to do the same as you're closing the door in his face. But that is the last you will see of him, at least for this morning. He doesn't bother you gentlemen any further. Yeah, and after you close the door, Cahill is still kind of half dressed. You can see he kind of got out of bed in quite a hurry. One of his kind of the straps of his jeans is still hanging loose, and one over the shoulder of his shirt, and he's kind of, from the information you just received, a little bit disoriented as you're kind of escorting him to the kitchen. He's just like, poisoning? That makes no blasted sense.
Of course it makes no sense. If it made sense, we'd know the answers.
Mr. Cartwright, I believe you overheard this. What do you make of this nonsense? Poisoning.
So far, I've got no answers, but there's something that doesn't smell right. There's something that doesn't taste right in the air.
Well, I think we know what to do now that we are. But my suspicions were correct. I was already half convinced of Mr. Grace's innocence in the matter, but what leaves the question is who poisoned my brother, and why?
The bigger question is he was dead for 10 weeks, and then a few nights ago
suddenly ended up
silver
on the
nitrate. I believe he may have been in those mines.
What even is silver nitrate?
I believe it's a silvery type of nitrate.
I'm not very well versed in those of a chemical matter, but I would assume that silver nitrate is different than silver the metal, surely.
I would hazard a guess it might be something inhaled, but that would suggest if we're going to venture to these mines, we need some sort of breathing apparatus.
Well, I know nothing of the mines, but I'm now more than ever I am convinced we need to pay a visit to this Peter Houlihan, this friend of Jack. I don't know about him, but yes, I think that is our next port of call. But I still have some questions for the local constabulary that I need to gather my thoughts on. And I want to have a word with that journalist as well that your friends were speaking with yesterday. Very well. I will show you where. Well, I'm sure Mr. O'Shea knows where Peter Houlihan's residence is. It's just down at the cross in the village.
Oh, let's wake up Charlie and let's get that cup of tea. You've been through enough this morning.
So, Cahill goes to wake you up, Charlie, as Benson has the kettle over the stove. And he kind of fills you in on the goings-on and what he had just learned from the police. And no doubt Ulick and the professor will be along very soon. You kind of arrange to meet at a particular time in the morning, so to continue this investigation. And I will fast forward time a little bit to the four of you now kind of gathered in the kitchen with the very perturbed Mr. Sullivan.
I will point out, though, that just before Miles and Ulick left, the bacon was in fact on.
Okay. Oh, yes. Very good, very good, very good.
Nice.
When we're all in the kitchen, I'm searching the cupboard. Has anybody seen any bacon?
The bacon has appeared in the cupboard.
Yeah.
If that is indeed the case, can I try and ascertain as to what may have happened with it?
How would you like to ascertain such information?
Well, I want to see if there was because obviously if this place is as dirty and stuff as it's been led to believe and musty and stuff, I would assume there'd be I don't know, finger drag marks as if something's touched it to pull it off, or maybe if there's paw prints in the dust or something to have said that it was a creature or whether it was someone with fingers.
I would, if Mark's okay with it, I would say that Ulick doesn't know where the bacon goes, but he just leaves bacon out for Madra at night, and it's gone when he wakes up in the morning. But he hasn't ever seen any rat tracks or anything. If Mark's okay with that.
Oh,
I love, by the way, you went for Madra rather than Deefa.
Yeah, D for dog.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's just something he does. He does miss his dog a lot. That's why he got it stuffed. But it's both comforting and unsettling for him.
Yeah. So is there any distinctive marks as to say what has happened to it?
There's no movement in the dust on the mantelpiece. No, even the little layer of dust that he placed the bacon on top of on the mantelpiece is undisturbed. It's almost like no one reached up and dragged it off. There's no fingerprint marks. It doesn't look like anyone kind of swiped it. Like the dust has settled on that mantle, and it just looks like either someone very delicately took it off or it just vanished into thin air.
Curious and curiouser. Okay, yeah, that's fine then.
So the 2-mile walk into the village to reconvene with your comrades in Carl Sullivan's house. He fills you in on the conversation he had with the sergeant this morning and the even more mysterious circumstances surrounding Jack's death and the fact that Mr. Grace will be released later on today.
I think Charlie would like to, over breakfast, just have a chat about where we've gotten so far. And one of the things he's just trying to refresh on is, so I think if we can piece together probably your brother's last movements. You see, obviously there was speak about him being shot, and now it turns out that he was shot by this gentleman Eugene, or he wasn't, but he was already dead. What was the circumstances of him? Were they in a fight? Were they in a pub? Did we ascertain that yet?
Oh, according to Mr. Grace's testimony, that he was looking for some cattle that had broken out in his field along the Silvermines mountain trail, and he stumbled across this man walking towards him that lashed out and attacked him. And that's when he had a lantern and a shotgun with him for whatever reason, but he did indeed shoot him then and there in the mountain trail.
Interesting. So we can assume that if this is a situation that is obeying the standard laws of physics and logic, that perhaps he stumbled upon the body and then took fire. Whether the body moved or not, and thought that the body had attacked him. But that depends then on Mr. Grace's what state of mind he's in. But I think the 10 weeks. Do we know what? Would I know what silver nitrate is?
Roll a science roll.
Rolling.
If
Science.
you have chemistry, even better, but general sciences.
Do I have chemistry? Okay. So that is in my skills section, is it?
It is indeed.
I do not have science, not even in my skills section.
Okay, well then you wouldn't be too au fait with...
I have history, first aid, spot hidden isn't going to work. Is it occult? Silver nitrate an occult thing? By any chance? No, I don't think so. Literature?
Medicine, maybe? No.
No, it would be science.
I don't even see science myself as an option.
Does it have to be an additional one?
No, science.
Natural world.
There should be science should be a base.
I don't see it, Mike, on my sheet.
Okay, well, let me tell you what the base science is. 1%. So you have a 1% chance if you don't have science.
Do it.
It's probably not even. Hey, look, I'm always
Chuck
going to
the
roll.
dice and let your brain explode.
Exactly. How do I roll my dice without...
Just roll a D100.
I've got 2 real-world dice here. I'll roll these.
Use the real-world dice.
It's a 71. So that's a hell's no.
You think you recall seeing silver nitrate in the ingredients for the old gingerbread bake your grandma used to make, but you can't be too certain. No, I'm kidding. That would not go very well for you. Either that or grandma had a... Yeah, let's not go there. Anyway, you do not. The bottom line is you do not know what silver nitrate is.
Okay, so I suppose the first thing to do is find out what, as much as you can about this silver nitrate. You mentioned already about speaking to Mr. Grace. Potentially, he's getting released today. And then, of course, we have the other gentleman, Peter... Was it?
Oh, yes.
Houlihan
fellow, yeah.
He seems to know a lot about it.
Yes, and with Mr. Grace not being released until later, I think Houlihan might be the preferable option at this moment in time.
Yes, I think so. Shall we head in his direction? Does anybody else have any thoughts or theories? I mean,
I do have actually one further inquiry, if it is okay. This farmer gentleman that shot him, supposedly, did he actually retrieve his cattle?
No, I don't believe so, and there is no alleged shooting. Mr. Grace admits to discharging his firearm. As Jack wrestled with... Yes, he definitely shot him. But he said he was wrestling with Jack at the time he was attacking him.
But he didn't retrieve.
He did not. No, as soon as he discharged his firearm, he alerted the authorities.
I wonder if he had managed to ascertain the whereabouts of the cattle since. It seems like something that would be of big importance for a farmer.
Yes, but I'd say that is probably the least of his concerns because he believed himself to have committed a murder.
Well, now that he's been proven innocent, he should be more than anxious to get his cattle back. I believe we should maybe pay the librarian a visit and find out as much as we can about silver nitrate, and possibly how to prevent ourselves becoming zombified, gun-toting, bullet wound-wielding maniacs.
Is there any... Did they have breakfast before we got here?
No, we'll assume that you're just kind of serving up breakfast as you guys sat down.
I found the bacon.
Yeah, he's gonna be pocketing some bacon to bring back home from Modric, if he's still alive tonight.
Well, given the situation, then, gentlemen, you were mentioning the librarian. Would one or two of you like to come with me into town?
Well, I'll go ahead to the pub. Doesn't open until 12, though.
And what time does Mr. Grace be released?
Sometime in the afternoon, I think.
We've got a full morning, fellows.
Yes, well, perhaps I can go and do a bit of research back in the library. And does someone want to come with me, or do you guys want to take it to Mr. Houlihan's house and chat to him, trying to find out what he was the big piece of this puzzle, I believe.
They don't let me in the library anymore.
That sounds like that puzzle's been pieced together for us. Charlie and I will head to the library. You two go and find Mr. Houlihan.
Right, so.
Very well, gents. Well, eat heartily. I will get the engine running, as it were. And Cahill kind of brushes off the crumbs of brown bread that had dripped onto his shirt and sits up and heads upstairs to freshen up before readying the vehicle to transport Benson and Charlie into town to the library. And Ulick and Montgomery Miles are going to stay in the village and head on down to Mr. Houlihan's house. And Benson, Charlie, you kind of hop in Cahill's de Dion Bouton vehicle, and you travel quite leisurely back into Nina Town. And as Ulick and the Professor are kind of walking down towards the cross in the Silvermines village, you're going to be taking that the same turn that the car took off in out in the direction of Peter Houlihan's house. It's just on the outskirts of the village. It's not too far away. You don't really kind of take much heed to this, as you're kind of very used to the site. But Professor Montgomery Miles, as you walk aside Ulick, you could just kind of notice that some people in the village, not so much looking at Ulick, but looking at you. You see one lady kind of at a half door with the bottom half closed, kind of both arms kind of leaning on it and just kind of following you, like her eyes just following you as you walk down the street. You notice a couple of girls in the cross of the town just playing, and as you turn the corner, they just kind of stop whatever rhyme they were singing as they were skipping on the stones, and just kind of, one of them notably pointing at you. And then as you head on down the village, you just see a couple of people walking against you on the other side of the road, and they just make no make it no secret that they're staring at you. And a little bit of a uncomfortable feeling, but you've kind of had that that kind of attitude with the locals as well. They kind of have stared you out of it from time to time when you've stumbled out of the pub. But I suppose
I'm going to make a point to look at that last couple as they're walking and quite blatantly staring at me, and just be like, "Good morning, good morning,
morning."
Nice day for it, isn't it?
He's a professor.
They just kind of pick up the pace a small bit and keep walking. And that, I think, is where we were going to leave it for today.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Yes, indeed. So we will catch you all back again here very, very soon.
We'll also catch the púca.
We'll hope to catch
well, will we?
Do the hooka.
Thanks very much, you guys. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Do appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are liking what you're hearing, don't hesitate to give us a like and a follow. Thanks very much, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.